Hi guys, how are you? I hope you're having an awesome day. Okay, so our new project is going to be Zentangles. So right now, I will be posting this on Teams so you can see several examples. The upcoming project that we are going to be doing is going to be a very cool project. I will be taking photographs of you, and if you're at home, then you should take a selfie of yourself and hold that to the side. And basically the idea of the upcoming project would be that you would create sort of, it looks sort of almost like a cloud, but like a really cool one that's going upwards. And that would be full of a combination of the Zentangles that you see here and a combination of some Zentangles that you might create on your own. For the sake of practicing and also mastering the whole Zentangle process, I would really want you guys to only use this as an example. And when you post your assignment on Teams, you should also, they all have different names. So we have finery, floors, flukes, there's a whole bunch. So you can choose. And I really would suggest that you challenge yourself to choose something that's a little bit difficult to do. So you can definitely do, you're doing a total of 3, so you can definitely do 1 or 2 that are simple, but definitely choose one at least which is more complicated. So the idea is that we are going to be making squares. So you should be able to see what I'm doing right now. So the idea is to do a 5 by 5, which is relatively small, a 7 by 7, and a 10 by 10. And we're talking about centimeters over here. So the first thing that you want to do, most rulers start with 0, so you can ignore that. You're gonna go ahead and put a 1, and then you just do a dot right over there. And then I'm gonna do the 7, and then you do another dot right here. Actually, let me do the 10, so that way it could be bigger for you to see. So you do a dot on each one of the measurements. You can make a line right then and there. But for the other ones, you want to do the dots before you make the line. So bringing that straight down, turning your paper around, you are going to be doing another 10. So that would make it a square that is a 10 by 10. And you want to make sure that you're doing it a perfect line so you're not looking like you have a rhombus. And the other side as well, a 10 is pretty simple, this step at least. And then you just go across. I'm doing it correctly. Yes. Okay. One of the things that I noticed about the Zentangles is that the designs are done in black and white. That's first and foremost. The other thing is a lot of them incorporate geometric designs. You can see over here. And something like if you look at some of them right over here, you can notice another thing is that the size of each shape is pretty much the same size. So sometimes when we're drawing on our own, we might not necessarily the same size, or we kind of do too much of a difference, whether it's super big to medium or too small, and then it doesn't create, I guess, harmony. So what I would suggest is that when you are doing, one of the things, the techniques that I do when I'm doing Zentangles is I kind of do step by step by step. So for instance, if I'm going to make a circle, in order for me to, it's a mental thing to kind of like make sure that I'm doing it the same side. I would do, let's say if I'm doing the circle and then it becomes a circle and a square. So I would do the circle, space, the circle, space, the circle. I wouldn't do circle and a square all at once because it kind of, the chances of me messing up and kind of doing it different sizes, that's easier to happen if you're doing all the drawing or the design at one point and then starting again. Okay, so I now have my square and I'm gonna go ahead and do, I really like this one that looks sort of like it has peas inside. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that one. I'm gonna try to zoom in so you could see which one I'm referring to exactly. It's this one. I love this one. So it kind of reminds me if I were going to the souk or going anywhere and I would be seeing some wonderful fresh peas. Okay, so the first thing that I notice is that the peas are kind of little tinier circles, and then it looks like sort of the pod, the thing that's holding it together is like lines. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start with that. Hopefully you will be able to see it as clearly as possible. Okay, so I'm starting just so that I can sort of visualize. This is what I want to do. I want to do maybe 4 over here. So I'm gonna do the first step on each so it looks sort of the same. Okay. And although I'm pressing pretty hard so that you can see the screen, when you are doing this, I would strongly suggest that you do it lightly. So if in the event that you make a mistake, you can easily erase it. Now, if you can notice, one part of this is not filled. Like, so this one is complete and this one is not all the way. The idea also when you're doing any kind of design is kind of imagine yourself if the paper were wider or your space were larger or bigger, you can easily see it connecting. So you want to make sure that it is continuous. You're not leaving a space to say, oh, well, that doesn't fit, and just leave it blank. Okay, so I did this part over here, and so now I'm going to do sort of like a smile, and this is almost like the shape of eyes. And inside are peas. So I'm going to go ahead and it's going to look and resemble to an eyelid. Again, I'm repeating the step on each one. So that way I can try to make sure that I'm doing it as evenly as possible and making it the same size. All right, so I need to leave space for some, what I like to call peas. I'm going to go ahead and do the peas here. And as they're getting to the end, because it's kind of curved in, it's getting a little bit smaller. And in the middle, it's the biggest. And if I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I want to do the exact same thing to each and every one of them. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and do what looks like a bottom eyelid. And so there I have the first step. Now I want to create, I'm looking at this and I think I want to create a few more lines just like I see this. So I'm going to go ahead and now do those curved lines. And again, I am doing it all across so that it just sort of looks the same. So if I do a curved line here, I'm going to go ahead and do a curved line here as well. Now you are doing this assignment and you are only using pencil. I don't want you to use pen, which means that the shading that you do is going to be with your actual pencil. So even though it doesn't come out exactly black, it will be as close as possible to black. And then I'm going to go ahead and do more of these in the bottom. So again, sort of like you're doing an arch, and it should be about the same, right? So we have sort of like 3 3/3. Again, the eyelid and the bottom eyelid, which not really does exist, but in this sort of looks like a bottom eyelid. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the peas again. Now, another thing that I want to just say that if you're going to be doing some shading, like a darker, if you look at this, this is darker. And just like if you were to do an actual project and you were to be coloring in, you want to make sure that you're coloring in one direction, or even the curve of the thing that you're doing. You're not coloring scribble scrabble. I know you want to get that dark, but you can actually, unless you do it like super hard, for the most part, it's going to end up looking a little bit like scribble scrabble. So you want to go in one direction. So I'm just going to go ahead and model that for you, even though the actual Zentangle doesn't call for that, but I'll model it for you so you can see what I'm talking about. So if you were to color this piece right here, the top part, and you want to, you can either do going in one direction like this and try to control your pencil that you're not touching the pea pods, right? So that makes it nice and neat. And maybe you can go one line across the actual, the shape of the thing that is not going to be colored. That's fine. But if you look at that, that looks relatively neat. But if I were to go and just go like this, doing this on the side, to try to get it dark, because I want to make that black, if we zoom in, that still looks like scribble scrabble. So you don't want to do that. You want to go in one direction. And it's the same thing that if you were coloring anything else. Perhaps for this little part right over here, that's not going to really show that, you can go horizontal the opposite direction. Okay. The other thing that I want to say very quickly, because you are supposed to do 3 of them, again, choose definitely one that's a bit more challenging. The two could be easy. I would be very impressed if you choose three challenging ones. And I would like for you to write the name of the Zentangle that you choose so that I know which one you tried. In some cases, you can use a ruler. Like if you look at this one right over here, you can use a ruler because each section is exactly the same size. But then obviously you wouldn't be using a ruler for the lines because they're slightly curved. This one is also, maybe a ruler would help. But there's some of these that I've seen some people who do it with a ruler and it doesn't work because this is also curved. And the whole reason that it's curved is to create a sense of 3D, and an illusion. So you don't want to take away from that. Anyway, I look forward to seeing what you got. Have a nice day. Bye.